it's Gothbeezy. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is surviving these awful heat waves. If you join my live streams, then you know that my apartments do not have central AC. The outlets in this room are not strong enough to handle my PC and in an AC unit running at the same time. So that has honestly been the reason why there's a big decline in my content creation right now. It's just so hot in here. The ironic thing about making this video is a big goth creator with over 100k subs had already posted one similar the day after I was actually working on my script. I was up all night working on this, I went to bed, and then I woke up to a YouTube video with a photo of my Instagram page on it. This is more of a response to her and me just kind of stating my side, and then I'll be getting into what I originally wanted to talk about. Dimitri Falco made a video about the community being quick to cancel and not giving any chance to learn and grow. I agreed with the first part of the video. I think majority of goths do. But then she started to go into how I was fake with her and how I call out people over small issues. Now it kind of feels like a Beezy cancel video. I want to make this very clear. I did repost a story that was made by someone else. So I shared the story to let others decide what they wanted to do with that information. And that never means to go and harass her. I will never agree to harassing anyone. This video is based on Goth Infighting and how we can do better. I can take this and turn it into a lesson. Could I have reached out to Dimitri about the TikTok shop promotion? I absolutely could have. I don't know how the conversation would have gone, but it would have given her this space to feel safe and talk about it before the information got tossed around. I can take accountability for that. Having a big platform is a really big responsibility, and you have to be aware of what you're accepting to promote and take into consideration how the goth community will feel about it, especially if you speak on the goth subculture. You also have to make sure your research is done properly because spreading misinformation is harmful. Continuing on in the video, Dimitri says that I was fake towards her. That was never my intention or the vibes that I meant to give off. We never really talked, and I did congratulate her on reaching 100k. That's really exciting, and it was genuine. That was before I saw the TikTok shop promotion, and then I unfollowed her after that. She also states that I was liking hate videos. Because she never really showed proof of this, I can only really assume what she was talking about, and if I'm correct, in one of her videos called Performative Altmen or something like that, the men in their videos were defending why they felt like the video was mean and unnecessary. I even defended her in one of their videos. Honestly, I had seen those reels before watching her video, and yeah, after watching it, it was a bit mean and unnecessary. So from that point, after I watched her video, that was when I unsubscribed from her YouTube channel. It was not enough for me to hate on her or feel any other way towards her. It's just not something that I want to have on my YouTube when I'm watching videos. In the video, she proceeds to bring up people that I and Alessandra had previously called out, which these people are racist, predators, and bigots. I never make an actual call out video for anything less. She said, I do not understand this situation, but started to nitpick it anyways and spread misinformation. There was no context and no real research done, even though Dimitri shared highlights where the information is on and slightly mentioned Alessandra without bringing up their name. The context was right in front of her. None of these were petty callouts. These people have hurt others. Dimitri ultimately backtracked the progress that we have made and gave these harmful creators ammo against us and to stand their case, leading more of these creators to harass Alessandra once again. Alessandra then confronted Dimitri about using their highlights without mentioning their name, and Alessandra has every right to be angry. This person that goes by Nyx, that Dimitri is defending in her YouTube video, had been harassing Alessandra for months, saying harmful, racist, stereotypical things to Alessandra that only further perpetuates harm onto Black people. Dimitri doubled down and said that Alessandra was having a full crash out, diminishing how Alessandra feels. Then proceeds to say the video was not even about them.
Bro, I feel like there are many large creators on here whose whole platform is just about exposing people and canceling people. For example, there is this person who has multiple story highlights all dedicated to exposing people.
She did in fact talk about Alessandra's page, just with no name drop. I apologized to Dimitri on her YouTube video. I told her that I understood her frustration and that I could have also done better on my end. And I still mean that. But I truthfully don't like how she handled the situation with Alessandra. The video feels very hypocritical. It quickly turned into a bashing video about me and a few other of my online friends, which is exactly what she was talking against. After this video was posted, I started to get comments on my Instagram and YouTube saying, "Aren't you that girl that harassed Dimitri?" No, I never harassed Dimitri. The only thing I did was post a story about her promoting TikTok shop. I didn't ask anyone to go harass, nor did I go and harass her. I had no idea harassment was happening to Dimitri until the video was posted. My messages are always open. If she had messaged me, I would have announced to people to stop harassing her. I mean, people may still do what they want to do, but I want to be clear, I do not support harassment. Another thing her fans are saying to me is, why would I trust someone who doxed someone? For one, I have never doxed anyone in my entire life. I had shared a story with public information from Facebook that someone else made. Big creators usually call out racists and show how easy it is to get their information off of Facebook, which is already public domain that these people willingly put out onto these social media platforms. Should racists feel safe in a community that stands against racism? No, this is why we safeguard and gatekeep. Another person said that I was calling Dimitri a fascist, which I have never said that. I have no idea where that even came from. This is why misinformation is dangerous. It spreads very fast and people get confused. Since the subculture is built on being woke, being leftist is considered woke by everyone else who hates human rights. I think seeing how someone responds to being called out on their behavior shows a lot about themselves. Defensiveness and not taking accountability is a big telltale sign on where someone is within themselves. And I think saying nothing can be the loudest response. After I received countless harassment, Dimitri not once said to stop harassing, which is, like I said before, fans or people they go and do their own thing, but I think silence says a lot more than saying, "Hey, let's not harass. Let's actually practice what I'm teaching in my video." I will be saving more of the information about the people that we called out that Dimitri had brought up in her video. I'll be saving that for another video because in this video I want to talk about Goth Infighting. I want to dig into that another time so that we can really share what we found on these people and why we had called them out. For now, there are highlights on Alessandra's page that you can check out to get more information about these people. So ending on this note with the whole Dimitri video, I just want to clarify that I never harassed Dimitri, nor did I send anyone to harass Dimitri. I did not know anyone was harassing Dimitri until the video was posted. The biggest takeaway from Dimitri's video is that there was a lot of missing context and a lot of misinformation. It's a little ironic because her video did feel very judgmental. When you have a big platform and you're spreading misinformation and you don't research what you're talking about, it can be very harmful. I think that's kind of the takeaway from Dimitri's video. It feels like she's not necessarily practicing what she's preaching. I don't necessarily think her and I will have an online relationship or support each other, and that's okay. Do not go and harass her, even after this video. I don't want anyone to go and harass her. Yes, I have had countless awful messages on my posts, and it has been rough. It's okay. Well, it's not okay. Don't harass people, especially if you don't understand the situation. But I'm handling it, and I'm okay. Talking about goth infighting can be tricky, but it really needs to be discussed. There's a point in everyone's life where we are ignorant. A lot of the time, it has to do with how you were raised, the environment you were in, and the people you were surrounded by. A lot of people were taught the harsh realities of life early on, and others were more privileged. Religion, your hometown, can all have a part in this. We all grow and we all learn. That is if you are willing to do the hard work it requires. As for me, I was raised into a Mormon household. My mother and father left Mormonism and went to Christianity, and I ended up going to a Christian private school from first to sixth grade. That environment was very interesting to say the least. You know, khakis and the polo shirts and the uniforms, the once a week chapel that was required. The school itself was pretty diverse, actually. It still taught very Christian ideologies. I left religion when I was about 14, like altogether. And around that time after leaving, I was still scared to even say the word crap. I had a lot of unlearning to do. My mother had married a very intelligent man who was atheist, and from him I learned more about different religions and a lot more science because I was taught that evolution is not real. I felt very lucky to have him in our lives, and I will say he's the reason I have such good critical thinking skills. But even at the age of 31, I do have a lot to learn. I have noticed since gaining a big following on Instagram that I am looked at almost as like a goth god. And I'm here to remind you that I am just as human as you. I'm honestly flattered, so glad that I can inspire people every day and be somewhat of a safe space. I believe that influencers have a big responsibility. I knew this before I even had a big following and was willing to tackle that as I grew. Then one day, a reel of mine took off and it actually happened. Sitting there watching my numbers grow by the thousands, absolutely shocked, excited, and nervous. One of the neighbors walked by and they were like, I didn't know it was Halloween. I had already been posting my political views, so I wasn't really concerned about that, but it is a whole new experience for me as someone who has never had this many followers. The responsibility of being an influencer or celebrity in this day and age when things are so scary and awful, it's a big responsibility. People can easily be influenced, which is why they use celebrities to sell products, or companies message my account and they want me to promote their stuff. It is important to hold these celebrities and influencers accountable. But where do we draw the line at holding someone accountable or completely micromanaging? Goth space is supposed to be a safe space for growth, learning, and mistakes. Now, trust me when I say this, I do not mean we tolerate racism, homophobia, misogyny, or any other forms of bigotry. An example of this, let's say a baby bat bought from Shein one time and did not realize the harm that fast fashion can cause on the environment. Do we go and call them a poser right away? I don't really think that's the way to handle it. I have unfortunately seen this myself. I think we have to stop and have a conversation first. Sometimes there's a lot of dogpiling in comments where someone is wearing a Shein shirt, a baby bat, and people are not being so nice about it. We have to remember that we are all human and we are set up to fail by these evil companies who convince us that this is the only way. Going out of our way and immediately calling them a poser without actually talking to them is harmful. Not give them the space, depending on their responses and willingness to learn. After you had talked to them with the intention of educating them, based off of that is how you'll choose your next steps with this person. You are trying your best to be nice and teach them and they are just not having it. I think then at that point you can just stop following them, block them, or just move on from the conversation. But I think it really does depend on how they respond. If we see a well-known goth who should know by now that Shein hauls is not very goth of them, I think you can still try to have a conversation with them, but from experience, they usually double down, and that's how you can tell that they are a poser. Personally, I think as a big goth influencer, sometimes it does happen overnight, and you're just like, whoa, now I'm an influencer because I have so many followers. I do think there are times where we can still show kindness to big influencers and give them a chance. But again, it really depends on how they respond to you. If someone is being awful and bigoted, then there is absolutely no tolerance. This video is more for the small mistakes that people make. We have to remember that everyone has feelings and we all are at a different stage of our lives, and sometimes our mental health is not always going to be as perfect as people expect. We all have bad days, but we can all learn and grow from them. I don't think any human is fully capable of constantly regulating themselves and always being perfect. If I were to micromanage every single person that I followed, I would absolutely go crazy. If someone's following, let's say someone's following Hot Topic. Maybe they followed years ago and they just never see them pop up, so they forget to unfollow. Just message them nicely. There's no need to be mean about it. When we nitpick and micromanage, we hurt the community that we are trying to build. If you tear someone down for making a mistake, they're not going to want to be part of the community and they're going to feel misunderstood. I believe this is partially why people hate cancel culture, besides the obvious racists that are like, I can be goth and racist. You can't tell me what to do. I hate cancel culture. Besides those guys, it's the getting canceled for not knowing about a problematic artist or accidentally forgetting to unfollow an account that has been called out as problematic. It's the fear of getting shunned and canceled for not understanding something or making a mistake. How are baby bats supposed to feel safe when we're always at each other's throats, watching and waiting for someone to mess up? Sometimes it genuinely feels like there are people out there just waiting for people to mess up. Kind of like a, ha, got you journalism moment. You know what I'm saying? There will always be the very obvious posers, and they will eventually call themselves out just by being themselves. But what should we do with the ones who truly are goth and made a mistake and want to learn or potentially need some understanding and real support? I think the most human thing that we can do is give grace, get curious, and instead of thinking we have to cancel this person now, we think about supporting them and allowing them to make a mistake and grow from it. And I can kind of go back to the Dimitri video about how she said that I could have talked to her first before sharing the story. And this is a perfect example of that. That is very true. I could have messaged her. I shared this story unknowing that she deleted that promotional TikTok and that she's no longer promoting them. That was my mistake. This is where I can also learn from this, learn from myself and what I'm preaching, because I do want to practice what I preach. And again, I'm human and I make mistakes. I feel like this is a pretty good example of this. When I had commented on Dimitri's post, I said, well, this is more of a reason to make my video and to learn from this. You might ask, but how do we do this? I'm not an expert. I do carry a lot of what I've learned throughout life from therapy and from researching, because I heavily research relationships and how to communicate. I am very into that. I am like hyper focused on it almost. Again, I'm not the expert. So these are just tips that you can do with really any kind of relationship that you have. This is all very much a lifetime practice. And something that I was taught was that we weren't given the tools on how to communicate, how to regulate ourselves, or how to handle certain situations. Our parents were never given the tools for that. So it's just like a constant timeline of people not receiving the correct tools on how to go through life, learning how to talk to each other, to your partner, to your siblings, to your parents. And some people might never take your attempt to talk to them the proper way. That is on them to learn themselves. I just think it's very interesting. And the easiest and first steps that I have learned, at least for me, is to, before you react, is to get curious, ask questions. Go to someone if you're noticing certain behaviors, if they've hurt your feelings, whatever it could be. Step away if you need to regulate, especially if they had hurt your feelings. Communicate that you are hurt or frustrated with shown actions, but not in a way that's going to hurt them, which it's hard to do. It's a practice. Instead of accusing, it's, hey, the way that you did this hurt my feelings, and I'd like to talk about it. Could also say something like, hey, I see that you got a shirt from Shein. May I ask if you know the harm that Shein causes? Hey, I just want to let you know this band creator is actually, this artist is actually very problematic, and here's the information and why. And again, how the conversation continues at this point is how that person chooses to respond. It is not your responsibility to manage how they respond. How they respond will say a lot more about them than it is about you. So you say it in the best way possible. and they're not good at receiving criticism, that's when you can choose what you want to do with the situation, and you can, like I said, move on, block them, unfollow, and if the situation is severe enough, you can let other people know how bad their behavior is. Do they go out of their way to show that they're genuinely sorry? They're not aware of certain companies and artists or some political ideologies? Kind of like this situation with Dimitri Falco. I don't necessarily agree with how she continued her video, but I do fully take accountability for my part that played into it. And again, this is how I learned in therapy how to apologize to people. Apologize for what you did, and you can even say what you're going to do to fix it in the future. I think that's a good tip for people, if you have been in a misunderstanding, or if you had maybe gotten angry when you shouldn't have, or things like that. I think the best way is to just not invalidate other people's feelings. Anyways, I hope this makes sense. You also have to remind yourself that the internet is full of all different kinds of people, and everyone is at a different age and stage in their life. I see a lot of early 20s, the way that they react to things and are not aware of certain things remind me of when I was 20 and I was angry at the world all the time, constantly, and I wasn't responding correctly. It's like I have to be like, okay, they're at a different spot in their life. I have to take that into account because they're still learning, they're still growing, they have a lot of years to go. I think everyone needs to be reminded of this. This is not excusing bad behavior like bullying and bigotry. Think smaller picture. Think small mistakes that can hurt people, but not to the extent of bullying or bigotry. I do think the goth community can be too quick to try to cancel someone, and often feels like people are just waiting for the moment that you mess up. And I know I said that, but I have to emphasize on that because I feel that. Sometimes I feel like there are people out there just waiting for me to mess up. And I'm sure Dimitri feels that way. I'm sure a lot of other big creators do. And I think it's important that you hold us accountable, but I also am asking for some understanding and some grace. I think holding people accountable is important. I think we have to find a good medium. We are not canceling baby bats for liking K-pop, not wearing makeup, not knowing the harms of fast fashion, and not knowing that an artist is problematic. We are holding people accountable and expecting people to learn and grow, especially if you want to be a part of the goth subculture. The counterculture. If we want change, we have to hold one another accountable and offer room to grow at the same time. We have to be aware that people will make mistakes. And personally, I don't think the goth community is too strict. We are not tolerant of harmful people. We will continue to use our voices against these type of people. Allowing these type of people into the subculture hurts the people in it. It seems counterproductive to be a subculture against capitalism, racism, establishments, and then allow those same people who support all of that into our community. It's very counterproductive. We can be quick to attack small mistakes. That's where we need to come together and work better on communication. With community, like if you are a real true goth, you do not get upset over the fact that we are calling out racists and bigots. Because really, there's no other rules, and if anyone else thinks that there are rules, then they're not a part of the goth community, or they're not goth. The goth community does not really ask for much in general. So if we're out here bullying or being too rude to a baby bat who's learning, obviously that's not okay. But we are not tolerant of racists and bigots. And I feel like I've said this a lot, but I'm going to continue to emphasize this. If you think that calling out bigots and racists, predators, is too strict and goth policing, then you don't understand what the goth subculture is. We are genuinely asking the bare minimum of not being a bad person. Thank you. That is where I'm going to end this video. I believe I hit the mark on every point that I wanted to make, especially about the Dimitri video and about the in Goth fighting. This probably won't be the first video about this. I know I'll have more thoughts and I'll be able to articulate it better over time. But because of the Dimitri video that came out, I feel like I kind of had to rush this. Say how it made me feel, where I have certain criticisms with her video. So anyways, if you like this video, please subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. And thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time.